And Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate, with or without sleigh bells, we want to welcome you. I'm here along with my co-host, Chris May. Chris, how's it going?
It's going very well. I love when we get to the, let's just be politically correct and call this our year-end celebration. I know too much time is spent getting all mixed up in Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and everything like that. Just let's be honest. The little fat man in the red suit on the screen here has nothing to do with any religion.
No.
He was a creation of Coca-Cola as a marketing ploy, and he has taken over as being the king of this time of year. So that keeps it as universal as possible. It's fun. That's all it is. He's got a beard as white as snow, and it's snowing outside, which is perfect.
Yeah, and for those of you who haven't tuned into Cheezy Sales Cinema, we riff basically vintage commercials and films of the past, pop culture. Really pop culture history. And, going back in time, there really isn't a lot of stuff that's actually not Christmas only this time of year. There's a lot of Santa Claus. So for those of you who maybe haven't attended one of our lives, Chris, can you let people know what they can expect?
The best part about the lives is anything can happen. So we still do the riffs that we are famous for. So we are going to get to the videos. We're gonna critique them. Some people say, "Oh, you tear them apart." We don't tear them apart. We critique them. We have fun with them. We poke holes where maybe holes weren't poked once before. So we're poking holes tonight. But it's audience participatory. So we need you to, wherever you're watching us, YouTube Live is a good example of that, where you see the scroll banner where you would have subscribed, send us a message. And Jason, who's also the producer of the show, will get that question up, and we'll answer that question. Or if you want to make a comment, or if you want to just have some fun along with us, it gets up here on the screen, and we can all have fun together. But it's all 100% user friendly.
Yeah, we love making this a conversation and getting you involved.
Sure.
So just so you know, what we've got for you tonight is we have Christmas commercials from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, plus we actually have scenes from a Christmas classic if you live in Mexico. This is a 1959 film called Santa Claus, and if you haven't seen it, it is a bizarre, postmodern, I was going to say masterpiece, but Chris, that might be giving it a little too much credit.
No, it's more theater noir is what it is. That's what I would call it.
It is very strange, and I know that fans of Cheezy Sales Cinema are going to love it. So it's going to be our feature later on. We're going to do some commercials before that, but we also want to get some conversation going. So
we have that.
Yeah. So one of the things we want to know was
TV specials.
Yeah.
If you're asking me, anything that was Santa Claus, the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Little Drummer Boy, all those goofy those cartoons that had where they were almost like still action video. I don't know whether they were claymation or whether they were tiny little marionettes.
They were stop motion animation.
It was stop motion animation. Loved those. I would cry when my parents would send me to hockey practice on a night when one of those was being played. I would kick and scream if I had to go off to Cubs or Scouts or anything, or even before that in the years of Beavers here in Canada. I hated it because I loved watching those cartoons with the music. The music is timeless. I have records, recently re-released vinyl with those songs on it. It meant that much to me. How about you?
Well, you know what? I'm going to be a heretic here from a Christmas special point of view. And I actually, looking back on it, I didn't really like those. And they were all produced by Rankin Bass, those stop motion animation, Rudolph and Frosty and a few other ones. And I don't know, I found them creepy. To be perfectly honest, the music was great, but yeah, they were creepy, and I didn't really like the messaging. Like I remember Rudolph, and of course I would watch them anyways because it was the thing to do, and there wasn't a lot of kids programming. But I remember Rudolph, and of course in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, all the reindeers are really real jerks and bullies. But then at the end, they're still kind of jerks and bullies. It's just that they've accepted Rudolph after he saves the day. But the next reindeer that comes along that has some sort of a deformity,
Wow.
they're going to be on him, man. It's just
Somebody really read way too much into those.
maybe. It's weird because when I started thinking about this, the one Christmas special that I remember watching as a kid, besides Charlie Brown Christmas, which is awesome and is timeless.
Again, I've got that on vinyl too.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, the one that I really remember is Fat Albert's Christmas.
Oh, yes.
And it's weird because it's not considered a classic, and I think I know why. It came out in 1977. It actually won an Emmy for Best Children's Program. But I don't know if you remember, Chris, it had a pretty intense story too.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, so it was a woman who's very pregnant. I can't remember whether she's on her way to the hospital or what's going on with her husband. They break down, and of course, it's Fat Albert. So everybody is dirt poor. So this couple is too poor to get their car fixed. So they take shelter in the junkyard shack that Fat Albert and his gang use as a clubhouse.
They decided it. They designed it like the nativity scene.
It's kind of like the nativity, and then it goes one step further because the guy who owns the junkyard, who interestingly enough shows up in a top hat, tails, and a cane, as people who own junkyards usually do,
of course,
decides that he is going to bulldoze the clubhouse with them in it if necessary to clean up his junkyard. Pretty heavy stuff.
Over Christmas with a
special.
woman who needs shelter from the storm because she's pregnant and they can't afford to get their car fixed.
Yeah.
Wow. That made the movie Scrooged feel like a feel-good story.
Yeah, and that was the 70s. And the one thing I really liked about it was, back then we didn't pretend that poor people didn't exist. Like,
yeah,
it was right in front of us.
We try to gloss over it now. Yeah. Back then, they were a topic of conversation. Remember, there were a lot of television shows at the time that were featuring people. Sanford and Son lived in a junkyard.
Yeah.
Good Times.
Good Times. Yeah.
They lived in Harlem. So, yeah.
And those were all my favorite shows. It's weird. I'm a suburban white kid, but if I look back on shows that I loved Sanford and Son. I love Good Times. I love Fat Albert. So there was something in there that really spoke to me for some reason.
Even Welcome Back, Kotter, where they had a complete mix of all different races, colors, creeds, even religions. Mm-hmm. That was in the Bronx. That was, again, a lot of people that did not have they had little to almost no money. It was a thing back in the 70s.
It was, and I noticed we've got a whole bunch of viewers joining us. You may be a little bit behind because of the lag, but we would love to know what your favorite Christmas television specials were. And there's another class of these specials, and those were the regular shows that would have special Christmas episodes. And I think my favorite of those was WKRP. They did a version of Christmas Carol.
Did they? I've got the box set.
Yeah.
I got the latest box set. Remember, the first box set had none of the music. The second box set had 60% of the music. I got to go back and watch that. Yeah. What season was that in? Was that an early season or later season?
I think it's a later season.
Okay, I gotta check it out.
Gordon Jump basically is the Scrooge character because he decides not to give out bonuses. Johnny Fever is Ghost of Christmas Past, which is great because he's got that kind of pale skeleton look. But the thing that's really eerie when you look back on it now is Christmas Future. When he visits WKRP in the future, none of the people who work there are there anymore. They've all been let go because everything's run by computer, and the only person left is the sales guy, Herb Tarlick. And looking at it now, it's like, this is what's going on in every radio station that I know of. All my friends who work in radio, they're getting laid off. So it's kind of eerie.
Wow, the rise of the salespeople. That's so dystopian.
There we go. So, of course, the whole reason for Christmas shows is to sell stuff, and we sell stuff through commercials. So why don't we do our first bunch of commercials? And Chris, I know you're going to love this because these are from going back to the 1950s. So we'll see how different things are. And this first one is actually from merry old England. How gray was my Britain?
When you're thinking what Christmas gifts you can give your teenage son, husband, father, or any
They look
man
like the
close
same
to your
guy.
heart, think of Gillette.
It
There's
does.
a Gillette
It just
razor
looks
priced
with
for
different
every
hair
budget.
pieces.
And here in the Gillette three-weight trio, there's a light, medium, or heavy razor to suit any skin or beard exactly. Buy one
Exactly.
with Blue Blade dispenser in this handy
Yes,
travel case
exactly.
for only 15 shillings. See this Gillette set in a high-quality red leatherette case for 32 and 6. Has a one-piece razor
What?
and Blue
32
Blade
and what?
dispenser. Here's the Gillette Aristocrat
32
in this handsome
shillings and
lizard grain
sixpence,
case
I think.
for 45 shillings. A heavily plated one-piece razor and Blue Blade dispenser. And
Blue Blade.
just arrived from America, this magnificent Gillette adjustable razor.
It
at
seems like with the
7
lower
pounds, 10 and
grades, the
6.
only difference is
This
the
razor
case.
has 9 precision adjustments to suit
The case
every
just
skin
gets a little
condition.
bit bigger, except what's this?
Christmas,
This looks
buy
like a
him
telescopic
Gillette,
thing.
The only way to get a real man shave.
Oh, that's creepy.
Where'd that crazy mutant
And I
arm
watched
come
my
from?
children
I don't know.
wonder, For I've
my.
been told the world has changed, and nothing is
The world has
same.
changed. Kids
But
are
they hung their
bratty. Oh, yeah,
Christmas
those were our
stockings
parents'
Just
those
as I
bands.
did many Christmases ago, and they hope to get a peek at Santa, just as I did, but fall fast asleep.
But they're heavily
long
drugged on
before he
laudanum.
ever comes.
Oh, they did. They look like somebody gave them
And
sleeping
Christmas
pills.
morning, still a joy, finding the little things you wanted. A
Yeah, we
car,
all love the
a
little
doll,
things when we were
a
Yeah,
toy whistle,
I know about you, Jason, but when I went to sleep, I was like, I can hardly wait to find the little things.
A whole handful of Tootsie Rolls. Have you
A
ever
whole
been
handful
a
of Tootsie
Christmas
Rolls.
without Tootsie
Nothing
Roll
says
candy?
mom and dad were lazy than a handful of Tootsie Rolls.
There will
We went to the
always be
drugstore,
Christmas,
got you some Tootsie
and the
Rolls for your
Christmas
stocking.
Yeah, stopped off at the gas station and got you Tootsie Rolls. There's nothing quite like eating unchewable molasses.
Yeah. Although it was better than, you know, the big Brazil nuts that my parents used to put in the stocking.
Yeah, I got the same thing, the Brazils and the walnuts, hazelnuts. Or cigarettes. I didn't get
There
cigarettes.
we go. I didn't get cigarettes either, but my parents got them.
Friends, here's a wonderful Christmas gift for anyone who smokes.
Which is
No,
everybody.
it's a terrible,
Merry Christmas
it's a terrible
and happy
Christmas gift. It's the
smoking
Christmas gift for someone you
200
hate.
times. Yes, 10 packs
Give
of
people
those
the gift of
better-tasting
cancer.
Luckies. All done up for
Nothing
Christmas
quite
in
like
a
it.
beautiful
200
carton,
tries at it.
created just for Lucky Strike by the famous designer, Mr. Raymond Loy. It'll look so bright and colorful under your Christmas tree. And it's such a
You know, that's what
welcome
my
gift to
Christmas tree
anyone who
needs right now. I'm
enjoys
looking
a
at it
good
going, it
smoke.
needs some
'Cause you
cigarettes.
know, smoking
It needs
enjoyment is
something
all a
that I
matter
can
of
light
taste.
on fire
And the fact of the
under my
matter
tree.
is, Lucky's taste better, cleaner, fresher, smoother. That's why
How?
you can't
It's
go
still
wrong
it's
if you
still
remember your
tar
friends
being lit on
with these
fire.
colorful
How does that taste
Christmas
better?
cartons.
That's like licking a slightly cleaner ashtray.
Yeah, but exactly.
Good jingle, though. And she's toasted.
I guarantee she's not
Christmas
smoking
holiday treat,
cigarettes.
Santa's Christmas Circus in glorious, exciting.
See, we
living
could be
color,
watching this
starring
movie.
Santa Claus and Wizzo the Clown. Ride
What?
the
I don't wanna know how
fantastic
Wizzo got his
magic
name.
of the North Pole. A
I'd like to
delightful,
know
wonderful,
what
fun-filled
agent
trip
put Santa
of
Claus and
sparkling,
Wizzo the
delightful,
Clown
exciting
together.
fantasy, full of fun, laughter, and happiness for all kiddies on the go. It's a circus.
I
of
got this
fun,
great idea.
laughter,
Kids
and
love
merriment
Wizzo, kids love
in
Santa. Let's put them
Claus
together
Land.
and put them in the
A
same
full-length
film.
feature attraction, packed with happiness and
With the little
excitement
freaky
for
little
all
people.
who
Put some
love the
freaky little
spirit of
people in there.
Christmas.
Everybody likes the little people.
And Bubbles.
It's not like clowns give people nightmares.
See the wonders of Christmas through
We'll
the
do really
magic
big
of
production
Santa's
values, but we'll have a really
machine,
tiny budget.
A dancing doll, a Christmas tree that grows.
That looks like the
We're
crappy
yelling
entertainment at
for
old
the
Chuck E.
most
Cheese.
excelling and enchanting,
It is. It's
exciting
Chuck E. Cheese on
treat
film for
ever
the 50s.
presented during the Christmas season. See the
I didn't used to get
delightful,
nightmares with
amazing little
clowns.
snow
I
people
am
in
with
action.
Wizzo right now.
Kissing reindeer,
Ugh.
Santa's toys in action.
Whoa.
Many more
Whoa.
It's bad enough that they're kissing. I don't need to see them in action.
Let's just leave it at the noses.
All
This is
part
such a
of Santa's
dystopian
Christmas
commercial.
circus, coming to
Imagine
this theater
Christmas
and
in a
starring
world that's
Santa
gone to
Claus
hell.
and Wizzo the Clown. Make plans now to
It's a
see
postmodern
Santa's
nightmare.
Christmas circus.
It is. It so is. It wasn't all that long ago we were doing videos of Space 1999, and that looked like it.
Wizzo the Clown, Chris.
I've never heard of Wizzo, and I'm glad that Wizzo's gone. I love your line, though. I don't even want to know where Wizzo got his name. It sounds like something he did out behind a portable in between sets.
Well, what's interesting is in Toronto, the big clown, and it's somebody I met, he's actually a friend of a good friend of mine from the Weather Network where I used to work, is Doo-Doo the Clown. So I don't
Is
know.
what now?
Doo-doo.
Doo-doo.
Doo-doo is a very popular clown in Toronto. And
Okay.
I'm just thinking, you know, Wizzo and Doo-doo together. Wizzo the clown, Doo-doo the clown could be quite the combination.
It could be live at an outhouse near you.
It gives new meaning if they did a special to camera number 1 and camera number 2.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Doo-doo, you're on 2.
Now, for those of you who actually liked Wizzo and were intrigued by that, I was actually thinking of possibly using that this year. We decided to go with Santa Claus. But if you want to see more of Wizzo next year, just let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I want to know who you are, too, because I'm going to suggest maybe therapy.
There we go. And speaking of comments, we've already got our first couple around favorite Christmas television specials. So
Oh, cool. I can't wait to see this. Susan, I remember a special with classic Christmas carols, Good King Wenceslas. How do you pronounce it?
Wenceslas.
Wenceslas? Okay, that sounds like somebody slurring their words on Drambuie. Wenceslas. I saw Three Ships in cartoons. I've never heard anyone else talk about it. I can't pronounce it. So.
Did you remember it, Chris? Because I actually do remember that cartoon. It's a very classy cartoon from what I remember.
So not Wizzo the Clown.
It wasn't Wizzo. No, it wasn't Wizzo the Clown.
Because there was no class. You remember we were talking about Bill Cosby and the Cosby Kids off the top? That was such a classic Cosby or Fat Albert line is, man, you remind me of school during March break. What's that mean? No class.
I love that you remembered that line, Chris.
Oh, that was Russell. That was Russell,
Russell,
which
yes.
in real life was Bill's brother.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it was a very classy cartoon, and I think because of that, it hasn't been seen a lot since.
Yeah, unfortunately, our society has deteriorated into filth. Alan, thanks, man. A Christmas Story. Oh, yeah. You'll shoot your eye out, kid. And I definitely want that lamp. Who doesn't? I just love... Hold on, I'm going to sneeze here. I've got to... No, I'm not. Yeah, well, pardon me. I'm playing a role. I'm not really sick. Christmas... I got a funny story about Christmas Story.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I sneezed so hard I knocked myself off camera. Jason has to recenter up. I was on it was in the early 80s. I'm going to say it was 83. I think it was 1983. We were on a transatlantic flight over the holidays, and we were crossing over a bunch of different international date lines. And it was on a KLM. I think it was KLM. Yeah, I remember this that clearly. I would have been 12 or 13 years old. And everybody else on this overnight flight was asleep, except for my brother and I. So I'm like 12 or 13, and my brother's like 10. We're watching A Christmas Story. We are laughing so freaking hard at everything happening in that movie because it absolutely reminded us of our family. I think there were people on this flight that wanted to kill the two of us. It was awesome.
You know what? That is a movie that Darren McGavin's one of my favorite actors. Just because he can do so many things, and he always has even if he does a dramatic role, there's always like a hint of comedy to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've ever actually sat down and seen the whole thing from start to finish. I've seen pretty much every scene in it, but it's always coming into a room and having it be on, and catching a scene here and catching a scene there. So I really should go back and look at that. And I think Susan wants to do the same.
Oh, is this for Christmas? A Christmas Story? I'd really like to see it again. I wasn't even on very often when I was a kid. No, it really didn't become a thing, I think, until you got into the 2000s.
Yeah.
Was when all of a sudden Christmas Story just became, and all of a sudden the hooker leg became like friggin' everything. You can buy them. You can buy them anywhere around this time of year. But there were so many scenes in that film that were just, what kid hasn't done a ripoff of sticking the tongue on the flagpole? But there's so many other lines in that movie that I thought were just so great. Alan, also the villain kid in the backyard shooting scene looked like the singer from AC/DC. I love the villain scene too. What? Krista!
Merry Christmas, Krista. Yes, I should watch it all.
Yeah, you have to watch it all from beginning to end.
And
because at the very, very end, what happens at the very, very end makes so much better sense if you see it from the very beginning.
And
that's Darren McGavin. Absolutely. I mean, the kid does a great job. But Dad carries that movie. He is just awesome. Oh, the snowsuit.
Yeah.
The little kid, the brother, I can't get up. I can't get up. I can't get up.
Well, the weird thing is, I remember that CFRB, which is a local radio station, my parents always had on. They used to do, they used to read that story, I think, every Christmas Eve. So I got to know the story
Christmas
before
Story
I even saw.
story?
Yeah, a Christmas story.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Actually,
I can't. Oh, here we are. The writer Gene Shepard was amazing. Also responsible for Wanda Hickey's Night of Golden Memories, and the Grandstand Passion Play of Dilbert and Bumpus Hounds.
Well, we're getting an education.
We sure are. Thank you for looking that up.
Wow, we've got a lot of comments on Christmas Story. This is great.
I don't think I know anyone named Ralphie. No, I've never known a Ralphie. I knew a Ralph. My dad's business partner's name was Ralph, but no one ever called him Ralphie.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Oh man,
So-
such a great film.
And we're going to be talking a little bit more about Christmas movies later, and I'll be asking you about that later as a teaser to Santa Claus coming up. But
Okay.
the next thing we got coming up is 1960s toy commercials. So here's another question I want you guys to think about is, was there a toy that you received at Christmas or any sort of Christmas present that drove your parents crazy? Like a drum set, or I'll tell you mine, Chris.
Okay.
So I don't know, I guess it was maybe 3 or 4. My grandfather got me these amazing Tonka toys because he knew a guy that worked at Tonka. And for those of you who remember Tonka toys, they were, they were
perfect.
these
'Cause
big
they were
machines
big and
made out
clunky.
made out of really strong metal, and there were dump trucks and graders and cranes
They're
and stuff
awesome.
like that. And it's perfect to play in a sandbox. But you give it to a kid at Christmas, it's not as exciting because there's nothing you can manipulate, right? If you don't have sand. So my grandfather, who got me these Tonka toys, also got me about 4 bags of dry white navy beans, which of course were immediately open and put on the floor so I could grate them and pick them up with a crane and everything else, but drove my mom insane because basically for 6 months afterwards, people were stepping on these little stray, hard beans.
So your grandfather, was that your mom's dad or your dad's dad?
That was my mom's dad.
So that was revenge.
I think
is
so,
what that
yeah.
is, yeah. Yeah, they still have them. Yeah, I know. They still. That's the other thing about Tonka. We got our son Tonka when he was a lot young, when he was a baby. We still got them because they're indestructible.
Yeah.
So if anybody else that we know comes over with kids and you give them Tonka, they'll think it's the most amazing thing because they can jump on it, they can push it up and down on the floor, you can throw them up against a wall, and they're simply not going to break, whether they're made of steel or they're made of wood.
Yeah. And, maybe also, for those of you who are parents, did somebody get your kid a present that you kind of wish they hadn't?
Oh, I'd love to hear that, yeah.
My folks were kind of evil that way. They would always try and find, the loudest, most obnoxious present for other people's kids, including relatives.
That's good.
As well.
That's the best. That is the best. That's awesome. That's being a good sport.
So did you have any toys that drove your parents nuts, Chris?
If I did, and it was only. Do you know what it was? It was the toys that needed to get constantly fixed and repaired, because they were put them together yourself. So one of the coolest toys, but the one that drove my parents nuts, and I'm going to loop this in because I know one of the questions we want to ask a little later is what was one of the most disappointing toys, was anything to do with Hot Wheels. And those stupid tracks, because the tracks that would go up and down and do loop-the-loops, they would last for a minute or two, and then gravity would pull them apart. And then my dad would have to come and put the thing back together. Or you'd run the cars would go 4 or 5 inches, and then they would fall off the track.
Yeah.
And then they would hit a wall and drive my dad crazy. And it was incredibly disappointing because it didn't do anything like the commercial said it was going to do. It did nothing like the commercial said it was going to do. So I just ended up just chucking the track in the side of and my dad would walk in my room in the middle of the night to see if I was okay. And he'd step on plastic pieces of track. And it was because I was like, screw the track. I'm just going to play with the cars. I'm going to chuck the cars around. So there you go. There's 3 in 1.
Yeah, the tracks were definitely problematic unless you got like the really expensive sets, and then those you kind of had to set up in a spare room. You kind of needed like a huge house, set them up in a spare room, glue them together, and not touch them, just play with them.
Just exactly.
Yeah.
And and when you're, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, who the hell wants to do that?
Yeah.
Someone gave my 18-year-old a joint.
We thought Lucky Strikes were a bad Christmas gift.
Wow, I thought Lucky Strikes were bad too. Apparently, this was even worse. Although legal now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Krista.
Oh, that is one way to get yourself in good cheer.
My brother used to love to get my son the most ridiculous things because he wanted to be funny. One year he bought my son a bag full of stick-on mustaches.
Okay.
And my son was like 7 or 8, and I mean my brother got him a bunch of stuff. He was always amazing with gifts for my son, but he always had at least one gag gift in there. And that year's gag gift was a bag full of stick-on mustaches. Now, I got the comedy, but it was funny because he would wear these to school, these big Mexican mustaches.
Oh, my goodness.
Or the Raleigh finger mustaches. They would just glue on his lip. It was funny as hell.
Oh, my goodness. Well, speaking of Raleigh fingers and toys that are a little bit challenging for parents, why don't we look at sort of a golden era for toys and toy commercials, which was the 1960s, because this is before, it was kind of the mid-70s when all the safety stuff started kind of kicking in.
Boo.
So the 60s were the era of the toys that were great for kids, maybe not so great for parents and people who were concerned about safety.
It's the Action Kids. What
The Action Kids?
are they up to now?
It's the Action Kids.
Business?
Got the ping pong table, but no ping pong today.
The fun
Yeah, they're looking at it going,
action playsets by
yay.
Marx.
Oh, wow. I used to love this
This
stuff as a
opens
kid.
up the wild action world of
I never had these. I love the concept of this. You open a box and you have a city. It's ready to go.
And here
Yeah.
are the Fighting Knights with a real
Fighting Knights sounds like a sports team.
And rock-throwing
That's what they should have called them in Vegas, the Vegas Fighting Knights.
with tanks, jeeps, bullet-shooting machine guns, and 80
But yeah,
soldiers.
to me, this is cooler than any sort of video
Helicopter
game.
at Cape
It's
Kennedy.
three-dimensional.
absolutely. Three-dimensional, you can get your hands on it, you can throw things around.
Yeah.
It's off into space. Zoom.
Of course, you lost half of it after about a week or so, but
Get the boot camp. Get
See, this
Cape
used to be
Kennedy.
fun, being able to launch things until dumb kids came along and started knocking them into each other's eyes. And then, remember, and then they
Yep.
put stoppers on everything?
exactly.
By Marx.
And of course, there was Hot Wheels.
Loved Hot Wheels. Pull back, and let that thing rip. I loved it.
Add power. One supercharger.
This looks like a
lap
big
after lap
deluxe
action.
set.
2 superchargers. Test your racing skill. And with 2-way superchargers, you've got the best Hot Wheels set yet.
Look at the size of that
I
thing.
know, it's huge. Takes up your entire room.
From Mattel.
Yeah, I love with all the close-up shots and it shows the cars launching and stuff, and just like this too, right? It always looks better in the commercial.
The commercial makes it look like a ton of fun, but actually what you were looking at is a terrible piece of plastic that had one function. It would just, you wind up that elastic, it goes around in a circle. You had to get a totally separate one to dive and a completely separate one to do this.
Yeah.
The G.I. Joe Sea Sled.
And of course, you didn't have a huge tank of water in your living room, so the only place
so
was
you
the
had to go to the
bathtub,
bathroom.
and it was never big enough.
There are simulated harpoons, maneuvering
See, because it's
controls,
close up, you can't see that this tub is really tiny, and all this thing is doing is going in a circle. And the kids are around the outside going, is that all it does?
And of course, you can't get underwater to see him underwater.
The G.I. Joe Sea Sled, and you.
And it never comes back up again.
G.I.
Nope.
Joe is the greatest. Nothing else is G.I. Joe.
Oh, and thank you, goodness for that.
I think like a child juggling a firearm to say, fun toy.
That's true, I just noticed that.
These
And
were
rock
cool.
'em, sock 'em.
His block is knocked off.
His block is knocked off. I'm speaking in a New York accent all of a sudden.
The action with the world's only
His
boxing
block
robot,
is knocked
the
off.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots by Marx. Takes 2 managers to handle the fighters and lots of skill to win.
And that's set up like a real boxing ring with the one light and everything's dark.
Keep your fighters in motion to duck punches.
Yeah, if you want to go through that effort, otherwise you're just playing it on your bed and it's all off balance.
There's a left jam. Lots of
Remember how
exciting
lightweight this thing
Oh,
was?
yeah,
If
they
you
were
pushed too
really
hard, it would
light.
be sliding all over the table.
Exactly. You'd be pushing it and pulling it with your hands.
That kid there looks like he's actually a bully in school.
Fly head back and you're
Now, he
ready for
probably
round
isn't.
3.
but he's got that look.
This is the greatest.
You bet.
That's the
world's
greatest.
only
You
boxing
probably don't have
robot.
television there.
It's true.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots by Marx.
And that's where Don Cherry got the title.
That's right.
So new, so different, so fantastic that you have to see her to believe it. Turn on the light.
Oh,
Baby
my.
Oh, what the
starts
hell?
crying.
Not a
Lights out.
siren?
She stopped. On.
This is
Oh,
not a gift
that-
that parents buy for their children. This is the
Like
gift that the
magic.
grandparents and the
Baby
aunts and uncles
stops crying
buy.
when you cover her.
This is a terrible
Then
gift.
Hug her.
That is the most annoying sounding cry ever.
Baby.
You've just got your kid old enough so it's not crying in the middle of the night, and then they get a doll that does.
That cries in the middle of the night. Yeah. See, this is more my speed. The
Yeah.
Slinky. Just keep it simple.
And it's an earworm that's going to stay with y'all for the next 3 or 4 days.
Oh, it will. The thing is, I love this tune.
I know, it gets in your head.
It's Slinky. For fun, it's a wonderful toy. It's Slinky. It's Slinky. It's fun.
It's fun till it tangles and then it's useless. That's the second verse.
Yeah, I liked how the Slinky people went, okay, we need to do something else. Let's make a car out of it and a dog.
Slinky dog, a slinky train.
These things seemed so lame to me when I was a kid.
The Slinky dog was lame until the movie Toy Story. Then it was cool.
Ah,
But this car is still a dumb idea.
yeah, but you get Raleigh Fingers with a handlebar mustache driving it.
Raleigh Fingers. Nice. Nice. Raleigh Fingers. From the 3-time champion Oakland A's of the early 70s.
That's right.
Cheers.
That's what you wanted in your toys. A little bit of
That's what you
Raleigh.
wanted. Little Raleigh. Who doesn't want a little Raleigh? Rolaids Relief Pitcher of the Year. That was before he was. Oh, where did he go? He went to the Brewers after
That's
that.
right.
He went from the A's to the Brewers. Remember the A's? 72, 73, 74 champions. And then because their owner is a cheap bag of crap, they always have been in Oakland. Just a bunch of shills. Everybody's gone. They sold everybody. Reggie Jackson goes to the Yankees along with Catfish Hunter.
Yep.
And oh my God, they blew that team up brutally.
Yeah, they literally could have likely won World Series all through the 70s because the
Yeah,
teams
they
that
could
did
have.
win all had those key players.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's exactly it. The Yankees went on to win when 77, 78.
That's right.
With a pile of XAs.
Yeah.
Like what the hell?
Okay,
Oh,
we got some more comments here too. Let's get to talking about gifts.
My brother got my 5-year-old zombie-obsessed niece a tear-apart zombie. Wow, somebody's going to have to explain something to a teacher. I still remember her standing next to a tree in fancy sparkly Christmas dress, hugging her rip-apart zombie and saying, I must have really been good to get a zombie. I don't know that I've heard that said very often. I must have been a good girl. I got a zombie this year. That's amazing.
Zombies
That's
were
amazing.
the big thing.
Zombies
for a
have
while.
never gone out of fashion.
No.
Like, ever. Like it's thanks to shows like Living Dead, or The Walking Dead,
Yeah.
whatever the heck it's called. They're massive. I've never been a zombie person. I did love World War Z though with Brad Pitt. I thought that was a really well thought out. Basically, it was a virus, and basically, it's like the zombies are like the anti-vaxxers we have now. They just wander around. I don't know why I got COVID. And then you're just like, hit him on the bat. Hit him on the bat.
I think my favorite zombie movie is Dawn of the Dead, which again is a
Oh my
very
God.
70s movie, very, very gritty, hugely low budget, but really effective.
Did you see the spoof they did of that Shaun of the Dead?
No, I never got a chance to see that one.
Oh, it was a Simon Pegg production. He and his partner, his comedy writing partner, did Shaun. It was one of the classic Simon Pegg movies out of England called Shaun of the Dead. It was basically Dawn of the Dead, but his name was Shaun, and he had no idea what was going on, but these zombies keep popping. It was as frightening as it was awesome.
Those are the best movies.
Yeah.
And, talking about toys, one of the things that we talked about during the last riff is how disappointing a lot of the toys actually were once you took them out of the context of the commercial. Like the diving G.I. Joe that you couldn't really use except in the bathtub.
Good example.
And a lot of the other stuff, I remember, the Star Trek and the Planet of the Apes action figures and stuff. They always had the kids out at Vasquez Rocks where they filmed half of the Star Trek and Planet of the Apes, playing with the figures. And then, you're in a suburb in Canada and, they're standing on the curb, with the lawn in the background. It just didn't seem quite as cool.
It's true. It is so true. They set these commercials up, like you mentioned it with Rock'em Sock'em Robots. They had it in the center of a room, and it's all dark, and there's a light hanging. Okay, sure, it looks like a boxing ring. Who's going to get that on Christmas and do that?
No.
Answer nobody. Slinky, I loved having Slinky. I think I mentioned it there, but I couldn't do anything else except watch it walk down the stairs.
Yeah,
that's all I could do. I didn't know how to do all those other tricks those kids were doing, like a yo-yo. I used to love having yo-yos. I thought it was a major accomplishment to be able to get it to ricochet back up into my hand. Watching other people in the commercials make it walk the dog and up and down the street and all this other stuff, I can't do that. And then just being a tangled piece of rope.
Now, what was really weird about yo-yos, not to get off topic, but I remember as a kid, and I'm not sure if this was just Canada or just my school or whatever, people from Duncan who were the makers and distributors of the yo-yo.
Wow, I can't believe you remember that.
Would do displays. They would come to the school and there'd be a big assembly and they would put on yo-yo displays and then sell yo-yos afterwards, which kind of seems weird now. You wonder who was getting kickbacks from that. Did that happen at your school? Do you remember that?
I never saw that.
Does anyone else out there remember the Duncan yo-yo people coming to their school? Maybe it was just my school. I don't know.
I would have went because I loved yo-yo. I loved the Duncan company, and anyway, we're off topic on yo-yos now. I don't know how the hell we got on yo-yos. Folks, this is the only show you're ever going to see online that gets off topic on something like yo-yos.
Yo-yos, zombies. It's all fair game.
We'll do it.
So, again, for those of you who want to comment on most disappointing toy that your parents hated, did you have a disappointing toy, Chris? Something you got that just didn't...
Well, like I said earlier, the Hot Wheels in the commercials always made it look like it was going to be cars on a racetrack, and it was not. I know in that video I said I loved Hot Wheels, but I did. I love the Hot Wheels cars.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand the freaking tracks because they would never, ever work. Others... it would be basically just like you said, anything that I would get that in a commercial looked like it was the sun, the moon, and the stars, and then you get it, and the reality sets in that it's actually just comes in a plastic box, and I have snow outside my door, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the other thing, right? Getting like a summer-oriented toy at Christmas always seemed to be kind of a bummer. Or, getting a sled or something like that, and there's no snow.
No snow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Christmas seemed to be meant for disappointment.
Oh, wow. That's a cheery message. I'm glad this is our Christmas fest.
Oh, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho.
So let's switch things over a little bit because our big feature presentation is coming up, part one of the 1959 movie Santa Claus. So we've talked about your favorite Christmas TV shows, specials. What about favorite Christmas movie, Chris? Do you have one?
Elf.
Yeah.
I love Elf. The thing is, what ruins Elf for me at Christmas and takes it, I don't know whether I should even mention that one for Christmas because I can watch it any time of the year. Just that Will Ferrell movie is just, it's priceless. It's amazing. Of course, I mentioned A Christmas Story. I don't watch it as much as I used to. I watch Elf a lot. One that just came into our collection here at my house is Fred Claus. You ever watch Fred Claus?
No.
Oh my God. This movie is hilarious. Vince Vaughn, his brother, who's played by Paul Giamatti, they grew up in some place out in like Eastern Austria or something like that. And Paul Giamatti's the older brother. He grows up to be Santa Claus. and what's his name again? Vince Vaughn, his character just grows up to be just some other guy. And there's this big jealousy thing. Anyway, but the movie is an absolute ride. It's a very, very funny movie and some fantastic actors in it as well. And that's become a new staple.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, for me, in terms of kind of lighthearted comedies, Christmas Vacation is one that I love going back to. The thing I love about that are the little things.
That's true too, yeah.
I remember there's one scene where Clark Griswold goes into his boss's office. He's got his boss a Christmas present. You can tell he's really proud. And the shape of the Christmas present is really strange. So you can tell he's got something like he thinks is really original. Goes in, is told to put it on the table with the rest of them. And he goes to put it on the table. And every other gift is the same weird shape. So every other employee has gotten the boss the exact same thing, if you watch closely.
I gotta go back. I'm a pet owner. I love pets, but the cat walking behind the tree, electric burn. It was so subtle. It was so subtle.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, Christmas Vacation was amazing. My favorite scene in that film still was when he comes out with the super slicked up friggin' snow racer.
Oh, yes, the snow racer.
And just touches the ground and takes off like a rocket. Love that.
Yes, as a reminder, when I was a kid, my school had a huge, very steep hill, and it had a swing set at the bottom. Believe it or not. And everybody would go tobogganing, and then you'd have to bail if you got too close to the swing set, because this was like big, heavy metal swing set, and you'd really smack into it. But then if you got past the swing set, you had to make sure to bail before your toboggan ended up in the road, because that was the next thing you were going to face. And if you went down too quickly, you'd end up in the road. It's a wonder I'm still here, Chris.
Wow. I missed this thing. That was the road to traffic.
Thankfully, it wasn't a very busy road. Before we go to part one of Santa Claus, we got one more comment on the gifts here.
Alan, my ex was disappointed by my Christmas gift. Apparently a fire extinguisher and a mousetrap are not romantic. Hey, dude, I'm in your corner. What were you doing? That's called home improvement. How can you fault home improvement? With a fire extinguisher, you save on insurance. And with a mousetrap, you rid yourself of vermin, which can spread disease and virus. I'm with you, Alan.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I do not get it. I don't get it. It's not like you were asking her to use this fire extinguisher as part of a daily routine or the mousetrap.
That's true.
Like, I understand if you bought her. You said, hey, honey, look, I got you a vacuum cleaner. You're in trouble. But you got a fire extinguisher. Like, you could have said, hey, baby, that's to put out the hot flames I have for you. And the mousetrap is because I don't want you to let you go. I'm not letting you go.
Chris, I think you can sell anything.
I can sell a lot of shit. That's what I can sell.
All right, so let's get to part one of our feature presentation, which is 1959 Santa Claus Made in Mexico. And it's a story about the Santa Claus you know, except there's some strange elements to it. And let me just give you a little bit of background of the plot. There's basically two sub-stories, one about a poor little girl, another sub-story about a rich little boy. And this particular scene starts out with a musical number with a bunch of children from Mexico who I think are fermenting some sort of revolution because there seem to be a lot of guns involved. Let's watch.
Oh, Jesus, what?
A neighborly group of helpers from Mexico.
All right. What the?
Kid, don't clean the gun that way. No, just
please
no.
Stop doing that. The rest of the kids are going to talk. Yeah. Those dolls are from a Day of the Dead celebration down there. I don't know that that's appropriate. They're singing La Cucaracha.
I don't associate that with Christmas, but neither do I with cleaning so many guns. He's got another one there.
Yeah, he's just going one rifle after another.
Santa's got a small mercenary army of children.
The small little girl in the middle, she had an unusual amount of makeup on, too.
Santa's very happy about his mercenary army.
He loves it.
Santa, do you like this devil?
Mmm.
He's got quite the digs.
Now, let's
He's got quite the stance. It looks like he's ready for a gunfight. Are you what?
How does it work?
The devil, the Satan? Satan is worshipped at Christmas by Santa Claus. What? No, he's going to light him on fire. Flaming what have we gone into here?
Typical of every Christmas movie. I wish they would just eliminate all the cliches and the tropes.
What the hell are you talking about? This surprised the hell out of me that they've gone to hell. They're live. We're now going live on location to hell. Merry Christmas.
Well, you know, kids love interpretive dance and demons.
This is frightening. This is so disturbing. I feel like I'm watching a Christmas presentation by the Illuminati.
The white hooded figures on the side.
Oh, come on. This is a death cult.
Whoa.
So be it, Lucifer.
Lucifer.
Lucifer
It
means
got
business.
deeper.
This is Santa's Magic Observatory. What wonderful instruments. The ear's scope.
The Magic
Teleprompter that
Observatory.
knows everything. The
Where did the
cosmic
innocence go of just,
telescope.
the Magic Kingdom and Santa's village? Now he has the observatory.
These cheap kitchen radios that do magical things.
Yeah, it gets AM and it's a toy. What is that thing in the middle of this back in the middle of the room? Oh, what the?
Already.
Ugh.
I don't want to know what Santa does with that when the kids aren't around.
Oh, that's a late night horror of another kind.
Speaking of horror.
How did this Christmas movie become Clockwork Orange? This is a psychotic Stanley Kubrick. This is a floating eye. What's the use of the giant telescope if the little eye comes popping out the side?
It's blinking.
With eyelashes.
With
Were the eyelashes necessary?
Where is she?
In Mexico.
In Mexico.
It's always Mexico. That's specific.
In Mexico.
Someone tells me the girl is in Mexico, I know exactly where to find her.
At a trade show.
With puppets?
With creepy marionettes.
Yes, it's Lupita, all right. And she's still dreaming about that doll she wants for Christmas.
I didn't realize The Godfather had been a puppet show before it became a book and a movie.
This is crazy. Hey, Don, I'm going to make you an offer that you cannot refuse. The kids are laughing because they're... Oh, what the hell?
Ted Baxter is upset with Marlon Brando.
The kids are laughing because they're too afraid not to.
I'd see those things in my dreams, man.
I only see those things when I've taken way too much friggin' hallucinogenics. This is horrifying. These puppets are terrifying looking. Look at the mother. You know what, Lupita?
Yeah.
We're gone. Okay, afuera. Vámonos. She's like, everybody thinks this is a baby, but I actually stole the buffet.
Doll, is she?
And Lupita says, I'm going to steal the doll then.
You shouldn't steal. Put it back.
Sweetie, we can still see the doll. You're not doing a very good job.
No,
Yeah.
neither's your mom.
Mom's really stretched out that Burberry scarf.
Lupita, come here.
Lupita, ven aquí.
The kids are cute in this film, I have to say.
They are very cute. There's no doubt about that. She's looking back at the empty table. Oh boy.
It's yours. Nobody's
Oh my God, she's visited by the devil.
and they won't miss it.
This just gets worse. This is so off color.
You haven't got any toys.
You know, I would often get visits from Satan at Christmas. I don't know about you, Chris.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
Otherwise, I would have taken a lot of medication to get rid of Satan from my dreams.
Put it back. Good girl.
You know, being evil is the least creepy thing about that devil.
The devil could have been so scary if it got angry, and no, it just turned into one of the Marx brothers. Lupita still wants to steal the doll.
Silly girl. Now you'll have to do without a dolly. Little girls must steal or do without the things they like. Well,
I think now she's probably going to marry rich when she gets older.
Somehow you'll be
Just so she doesn't have to see that terrifying thing again.
Exactly.
Oh, thank goodness somebody else bought it. Because otherwise, friggin'
The temptation would be too much.
Lucifer would come back again going, screw it, I'm just going to get it for you.
All my friends can ignore the devil.
Yeah, Santa, you didn't help very much at all.
No, he just stood by and watched. Way to go.
Typical
nice
voyeur.
help. Nice help. Way to be a spectator.
Yep.
That was the most terrifying thing we've played on Cheezy Sales Cinema to date. That was horrifying.
I think it's definitely up there. We've got a lot of comments to get to, but just to let you know.
I cannot imagine.
Yeah, so part 2, which is coming up at the end of the special, actually has Santa and the devil going at it mano a mano. So if you're wondering if that was coming up, it is.
Yeah, it's like it's like all the Captain Kirk fighting scenes in the old Star Trek series.
But you know what? It's got to be tough, Chris, because Santa doesn't really have a natural enemy, and if you want to make him a hero, it's like, I don't know, who else do you use?
Lucifer, though, I think it's a stretch.
Oh.
The devil. You brought in a satanic ritual to a Christmas story. It was too much.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably.
gosh.
Probably. But you know what? Kids in 1959 were a different breed.
Yeah, they had to have been.
Yeah. So let's get to our comments here. We got lots of comments so far in this movie.
Here we are. Is this some sort of pro-child labor movie? See? Robert knows. Like, what the hell were we just watching? That was scary.
And Merry Christmas, Robert. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Robert. Right on. Cuatro cerveza, por favor. Give me 4 beers. Give me 4 beers. Just line them up. Just line them up. I'm seeing the devil. So I need to drink more. This looks like a movie that would be analyzed in a deviant behavior module of sociology. Yeah, that's exactly what it would be. This is what you would have in worst case scenario class.
Yeah, probably, you know, the dreams of somebody who's a little bit off and maybe should be...
That film is the result of a bad opioid trip.
Yeah, you know what? The interesting thing is, I mean, postmodernism, which obviously that's very big in this film, the whole weirdness is a postmodern thing, was much bigger in Europe and Mexico. Outside of North America, there was actually a lot of that starting in the 50s, but it's interesting that it's in a kid's film.
The props look like something from Star Lost. It does. They're so cheap. It's so bad. The telescope with the eye coming out of it still creeps me out. I was like, what was the reason for that? Except to make it look, Yikes, those Muppets are nightmare fuel 100%. Yeah, Sean, hey, thank you so much for chiming in. You're right. They are a nightmare. When the Marlon Brando puppet stuck its tongue out, I went, where did that come from? How did that happen?
I don't know. You know what? I actually looked that up.
Vile.
I actually wondered, like, is this some sort of, you know, kind of Mexican puppet opera, some sort of kind of popular cultural thing? And I never really got a good answer, although obviously puppet theater is, again, very big much bigger in South America and in Europe than it is in North America. Oh,
sure it is. Yeah, I get that. But those puppets were terrifying, though. Like, they looked...
Yeah.
They were... And it was 2 guys. And it looked like at one point they're either kissing or they're slapping each other with their hands. The other one sticks his tongue out like, oh.
Yeah, and then kissing their hands and stuff, like some sort of fealty to the mafia thing. It's just very, very strange.
Again, that should have been mixed in with kids.
There we go.
Man.
And I just got a text from Lori, who is watching actually from her phone in the car. She's
okay.
On the road, so we don't
job.
want you. We don't want you commenting while you're in your car, but we will say hello and Merry Christmas.
Yes, for sure.
And
thank you so much.
Yeah. And before we get back to Santa, we've got one other group of commercials, and this is sort of some more recent stuff from the 70s and 80s. Just very quickly, Chris, is there a particular commercial that you remember from the 70s and 80s that always seemed to be on that stuck with you?
Aside from the Slinky commercial, not really. No,
Yeah.
The Slinky commercial, definitely. I'm trying to think.
For me, it was the McDonald's gift certificates. Seemed to always be a big thing around Christmas.
You saw that at Christmas? I used to see this McDonald's gift certificates all the time around Halloween.
Yeah, that was another big one,
gift
too.
certificates out for Halloween on Trick or Treat. It would have been based for me anyway. I always remembered it was the toy du jour. Like there'd be a G.I. Joe Kung Fu Grip. There'd be Steve Austin, with the bionic eye. Those sorts of anything to do with any sci-fi that happened to be big at the time. So it was either Space 1999 or it was Buck Rogers or it was Star Wars. Of course, there probably was a lot of other ones, but those are the ones that I gravitated towards. What was the other one? Like Battlestar Galactica, the early one, the one with the Cylons who were wearing hockey equipment. I remember a lot of that stuff. And just like you said, they were shot on a Hollywood set. So when I got them home, I had to go find a construction site to play with my toys.
Which is obviously really safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Precisely.
Well, let's look at some 70s and 80s ads. Some of these are toy commercials. Some of these aren't, but they're all interesting.
Mattel Electronics is offering a big Christmas bonus.
I had that.
You did? I had the Coleco version, electronic quarterback, which I always thought was probably better.
Using these coupons.
What was it? Oh, this is Mattel. Yeah, yeah.
And a Pepsi-Cola product.
The Mattel ones just didn't seem quite as good as the Coleco ones.
Electronic and food stores featuring these Mattel
I don't know whether I had Coleco. I might have had later Colecos, like head-to-head football. Was that Coleco?
I can't remember. Yeah, I think the head-to-head ones were Coleco.
I know I had that.
Yeah.
I know I had that one.
If anybody loves trains, it's me, Johnny Cash. You know, if your voice
Oh my God.
like mine is, he needs
What
a
commercials
big
did this
Lionel
guy
with this
not
Black
do?
River freight. Lionel also makes HOG.
We've already done a Cheezy Cell Cinema with him doing the Canada Trust commercial, remember?
That's right.
Johnny Cash, why walk the line? Now he's selling trains.
He's selling train. I wonder if there's like a little Folsom prison that you can put in the middle of the train set.
Lionel, the big train for small hands.
What's he saying about himself?
Christmas is a time for closeness, and closeness is
He's
what Norelco
riding a little
razors
razor.
are all about. The shiny new silver rotary razors.
That's
in
always been a
cord
thing
and
for Christmas,
rechargeable
hasn't it?
models with
What, the rotary
36
razor?
Or just
9
razors in
closeness
general.
settings
Like
and
I don't
going back to
understand
the
why.
ones. I don't know.
Although my
And the
dad had one of those.
Ladybugs, the
I
ladies'
recognize the
razors
red
that
velvet
really work.
case.
And the Ladybug Salon. A ladybug
At
razor
Christmas,
plus
it's all about the
11
case.
grooming attachments.
Yeah, because it's all about the presentation when you get it under the tree.
Hallmark presents Keepsake Ornaments for Christmas 1978.
Here's the
Designed
stagflation
like
ornament.
beautiful ornaments from
The
Christmas
half an
past,
oil barrel.
with
It's now
Hallmark
twice
care
as
and
much.
craftsmanship. And
Stagflation.
Hallmark ornaments are just the gift.
You know what's
for
great is
Christmas
Hallmark
presents.
is still doing these
Treasure a
ornaments
special
today. I love
event
that.
like
They
Gold
are.
If you can
First
find
Christmas.
if you can find a
Many
Hallmark store.
ornaments
Yeah.
are dated keepsakes too for Christmas future.
I'm sure
because
there's
they
people who've
return
collected
every year.
them for like every
Hallmark
year, probably
keepsake
since this was
ornaments,
broadcast.
Wherever Hallmark
Probably,
cards are sold.
absolutely. Late 70s to today, yeah.
This Christmas, we're readier than ever
Michael
to catch
Landon.
all the action with his brand new Kodak Extralight camera.
Oh, look at that.
So it was Michael Landon for Kodak and James Garner for Polaroid, like the two most likable guys on television.
Yeah. Oh, they had a dog come out of a box.
You might have missed.
How long was it in there?
Catch all your Christmas
Well, at least it had
fun.
air
Ready
holes
in
in
a
it.
flash Extralight
I don't want to look too closely in the box, though.
at Kodak.
What a beautiful Christmas
That's
this is
amazing
going
that
to
in
be.
1980 Kodak was 100 years old. Wow.
Ideas from the most elegant.
Yeah, watches were another thing that were big at Christmas.
Merry
Yeah.
Christmas, everyone.
Watches
From Timex.
and cologne. Cologne was another one.
Yeah.
You never see cologne commercials until Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, I
my
remember this,
God.
yeah. Clap off.
The worst voiceover
Turn
ever.
things on or off from anywhere in the room. Just plug in. the
It's amazing
clapper
how
in the
this
television,
affected pop
lamp,
culture.
stereo.
Even
yeah.
today, you can
Almost
see a
anything you wanna
sitcom
clap on
where
and
somebody
off.
at the end of an episode will go, and the lights will turn off.
Clapper is
That lady who
available
was
at
half
Meijer,
seal at the end.
Hills, and Osco.
Special people on your gift.
Oh, Joe
Giving
DiMaggio.
Mr. Coffee is
I'm gonna
the
take a
delicious
sip
way
every
to
time he
say
says
Merry
coffee.
Christmas.
Oh.
Everyone would love to have Mr. Coffee. It's America's #1 coffee maker.
That's 3.
Mr. Coffee with
4.
Coffee Saver brews delicious coffee fast, and it saves
6.
coffee too.
7.
When you give Mr. Coffee for Christmas,
8.
every delicious cup will be a reminder of your thoughtfulness for years to come. This Christmas, give Mr. Coffee.
9. There you go. You're going to be hyped now.
How are you? Oops. Oh. My little brother Joey asked me to write you. He's only 5. Here are a few things he hopes you'll bring the family.
Dad wants a
this Christmas.
knife. Mom wants a jazz record.
Grandma helped with
That's why
everybody's
Dad wants the
sizes.
knife.
We've grown a lot since last year. Oh yeah, favorite colors. Grandma yellow.
Whose favorite color is yellow?
Joey kind of likes green. And me.
Old people.
That's
Santa,
true, Grandma.
You're not gonna believe what Joey wants.
Joey wants comic books, the communist.
Sleeping bag. A sled.
Left-wing pinko.
Bike. Make it red.
I don't think you need
And
to
a drum.
show Santa
Mom says
pictures of
you
what
leave
you
out the
want. I think you
drums.
just tell him.
I
Santa,
think he
Joey
basically
knows
gets
that
it. Remember,
Christmas is more than gifts
Jimmy,
and
he
stuff,
creates them.
and that giving is more important than getting. I guess little kids forget that sometimes. Well, Merry Christmas, Santa.
Problem is,
Your
Santa's got an
friends,
early
Joey
apple,
and
and that's not going to be compatible.
With Pillsbury sugar cookies, you can help kids create
Santa
their own
got the
Christmas
Apple
treats.
One.
I made a little
He's
angel.
not compatible with
Actually,
IBM.
my mommy helped. It was easy. This Santa has a problem. My Santa's cheeks got chubby in the oven.
Chubby in the oven.
I ate it.
Not going to touch it.
I'm not touching it.
Gumdrops. The wind broke off and I ate it.
Everyone loves Pillsbury cookies, fresh and hot.
Teachers must have loved this. The kids
Oh yeah,
come
they're
in
like,
with their cookie
oh
ornaments.
great, I got a bunch of mutant cookies for Christmas. Thanks, kids.
So I'm actually curious if any of you out there actually did the Pillsbury Christmas cookie thing.
I know we did.
Yeah.
We did. My mom did it all the time. Oh my gosh, we had cookies coming out all everywhere. And around the holidays at school, because for grade school I always went to a Catholic school, and there was always a bake sale. Pardon me. Oh, this cough. There's always a bake sale. And my mom would, sometimes she would get really inventive, but when it was suddenly she had to do them for me, my brother, and my sister, she'd be like, Pillsbury!
Oh, man. Yeah, sounds very much like the 70s, 80s mom.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we got some more comments here. I guess this relationship to the commercials, although I don't know if this one's Christmas. Oh, just in general.
For me, my 70s most memorable commercial was the Calgon detergent. I can't see the bottom of the
Ancient Chinese
story.
Secret.
Oh, that's right.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that. Thank you. I do that.
Yeah, we don't
Ancient
see that
Chinese
one now.
No, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. So it is weird because before the computer era, it seemed like there was certain gifts, especially for adults, that would sort of keep coming up for Christmas. And a big one was the watches, as we saw, cameras, and what was the other thing? Razors. Those always seem to be around at Christmas for the adults.
The thing is, everybody makes razor. Nobody uses. I don't know very many people that use the electric razor anymore. I mean, you've got Shave Club and everything like that. People have gone back to the actual blades. Cameras, you don't need them because everything's on your phone. What was the other thing?
Same with watches. Yeah,
watches. You've got your camera, you have your personal computer, and you have your watch, all on your phone now. So, and that's basically what you see on television nowadays. Is you see commercials for the iPhone 13 completely flooding the airwaves, and the new Samsung Galaxy. That's it. There's your entertainment systems.
Yeah.
Although when we were talking about those toys earlier, I loved my Mattel games and my ColecoVision games that we would have at the back of the car, because invariably around Christmas time, there would either be my brother, me, or both of us that would have hockey tournaments. And we'd have to go to each other's tournaments, and the whole family would pile into the station wagon, and my brother would be playing, head-to-head football, head-to-head soccer, head-to-head baseball, anything like that. Did you guys have the Christmas greetings from your local business TV ads? I did. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that I had them from my local area. I used to get because I've always lived in a border area, whether I grew up in the London Sarnia area or later on in the Burlington Hamilton area. I got all the local business ads for all of the American companies. They spend a lot of money saying Merry Christmas to everybody in the States.
And that was a big thing for local TV stations, was they would get all their advertisers, and they would do slides or get people, on camera for a couple of seconds. And you're right. In Buffalo, it was Merry Christmas from Gambino Ford. And then it was Merry Christmas from Taps Friendly Markets.
Or what's a hardware store? Ace Hardware. Ace never stops working for you. Exactly.
Yeah. Or Carvel Ice Cream. Remember Carvel?
Remember the guy from Carvel? The guy, I loved his commercial, especially his Christmas themed. I've got ice cream cakes. He sounded like a gangster that smoked a lot of cigarettes before he did those ads.
Yes, the ice cream gangster.
Yeah.
So we're going to get back to part 2 of Santa Claus in a moment, but that sort of brings up another question that I'd like to ask you guys, and as well as you, Chris. Interactions with Santa, whether it was for you or for your kids, maybe it was at a Christmas party. Any particular interesting memories, good or bad, from those?
I don't know who's watching this.
That's true.
I don't want kids watching this.
Maybe a good one then.
I don't know what to say. I'm stuck. Because never stop believing in Santa Claus, but but Santa Claus has his minions
His
that
helpers,
have to.
yeah.
His helpers and a lot of times Santa will employ people to impersonate him so you can get ready for Christmas and it can spur on the creative spirit. So probably some of the most fun memories I have of Santa Claus is when I played Santa Claus at either corporate parties or filling in for the real Santa Claus at a mall because he was on break or something. So yeah, those are some of my favorites and different, I guess. Aside from that, it would probably be the different strategies that I would come up with. And a lot of times, especially when my son was a lot younger, my brother would spend a lot of time here. When he used to live in New York, he'd come over for Christmas all the time. Being in San Francisco, he can't. But the ways my brother and I would devise fooling, because I've only got one kid, so it's easy to just pick on the one kid. The different ways that we would devise fooling him to get him to go to bed. So he wouldn't run into Santa Claus, because that ruins everything if you run into Santa Claus. So I had a ton of fun with that. How about you?
You know what? When I was a kid, my dad worked at Northern Telecom, which was called Northern Electric back then, which was it was kind of like a division of Bell, just big phone equipment company.
Very familiar with them. Yeah.
And we used to have his union Christmas parties used to be like amazing looking back on them. They used to be usually at a big theater somewhere. So we'd go as kids, we'd sit in the theater, and it was like a variety show. There was musical acts, there was comedians, there were acrobats and people on trampolines. And then at a certain point, about 3/4 of the way through or 2/3 of the way through, they would make an announcement that we all needed to go outside. So we'd go outside into the parking lot. And this is the 70s. So here's what happened. A helicopter, because helicopters were huge in the 70s, would land in the parking lot. And out would get Santa and children's entertainer from Toronto, a lot of people may remember, Uncle Bobby, who was the local kids entertainer.
Bobby?
Yes, Uncle Bobby and Santa would get
CFTO.
From CFTO, yeah, he had a daily show, the Uncle Bobby Show, and they would actually get out of the helicopter. They'd greet us kids. We would go back in. Uncle Bobby would do a bit for 20 minutes or so, some sort of comedy, and then we would go. Each of us we'd line up, and our parents would have prepaid for gifts, and we all got a gift from Santa. So that was a particular cool memory looking back, because I don't know if there's that many like that large scale Christmas parties anymore. Certainly not with helicopters.
I don't think at all. I mean, the closest I've ever seen to that is a mall in a town that I grew up in. Used to have Santa show up by helicopter, but that was for the city. I never heard of a company flying Santa Claus and freaking Uncle Bobby to put on a show. Oh my God.
Unions were a lot bigger and richer back in those days.
I remember my dad got transferred. We had to live in the Middle East for a few years, and Northern Telecom was there. So, or Northern Electric and then Northern Telecom. Yeah. So I remember both those companies. Yeah, they were huge. They were very, very large companies. So I get that. That's amazing. Your dad had a very cool Christmas. Birch Ewan. I like it. Voy, FYI.
I'm not sure. Obviously, FYI is for your information, but I'm not sure what the Voy is referencing.
I wonder if it's, oy vey, for Santa Claus landing. Or it could be voice over Y, FYI. But Birch, thanks for joining us. Absolutely. And now we're intrigued.
Yeah.
Now we're very intrigued.
So yeah, feel free to comment. Again, again, one of the things I'd love, because I think some of you probably have some interesting stories maybe about your kids with Santa Claus, because it's interesting. Santa, with little kids, you never know how they're going to react with Santa's helpers. And you're right, Chris, because obviously, the ones, the malls and stuff like that are usually helpers because Santa's busy up at the North Pole.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm interested to see if any of you have issues. Okay, we've got a new comment here.
Uncle Bobby disturbed me. I think his true nature was probably darker than. Oh, come on, Rob. Don't besmirch The great Uncle Bobby.
No, and here's the interesting thing. I think I know what Rob's getting at. It seemed like Uncle Bobby could have a temper. Like you never saw it.
You know what?
But
You're right.
there was something about the way he came across that it looked like he
was assertive.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, I did notice that. That maybe he was somebody who was, okay, maybe a bit of a diva.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly. I don't know. Maybe not. But you're right. There was something about him that said, but you know what? It didn't disturb me though. I kind of thought, okay, well, he's a real person. Lori agrees with Rob. He was creepy. I'm still probably drunk on the Kool-Aid, thinking, I'm still thinking of it from the eyes of a 9-year-old. Yeah. So I might have to go back and watch some Uncle Bobby segments.
Yeah, I know. And here's the thing. I still love Uncle Bobby, and he was an incredibly successful entertainer. That show was hugely popular. I watched it every day. I know every single kid did. Yeah. Okay. Very, very quickly.
Here we go. Here we go.
This is a story that I heard, and it doesn't, reflect badly on Uncle Bobby, who I think passed away a while ago. But Uncle Bobby, apparently, there was one episode where they brought in a monkey, a chimp, and the chimp got out of hand and knocked Uncle Bobby unconscious. And this was apparently in the evening where he was the only other one in the studio. And again, according to legend, a bunch of people show up like the next morning or a couple hours later, and here's Uncle Bobby, and he's knocked out on the floor, and there's this chimp that's actually gone to the rafters. You know what a TV studio is like? It's on like all the lighting grids and stuff like that, and it took them hours to actually get the chimp down.
Could you imagine walking in the morning? You've got your Tim Hortons in one hand, you've got your stale bagel in the other hand, and you're like, what the actual flip is going on here? We have what we hope is not a dead performer, and we have a chimp who's lauding over him, going, Planet of the Apes, Planet of the Apes.
And of course, I have no confirmation of that story, so I can't say it's true. It's probably a little bit embellished, but I do think the whole chimp on the loose was an issue.
That was a theme back in the 70s too. How many chimps on a loose television shows were there?
Yeah, chimps and helicopters. That sums up the 70s, doesn't it?
That sums up the 70s. Chimps and helicopters. Sounds like a country song. Chimps and helicopters. It could have been a Conway Twitty song from the 1970s. Chimps and choppers.
Okay.
Conway Twitty and Dolly Parton. Chimps and choppers.
So I know you're all waiting to get back to part 2 of Santa Claus, and this is the tale of the rich kid.
Time out. Before we do that, I gotta get.
Okay.
I gotta take more medication before I watch the second half of this. I think I need to be drunker before you play the second half of this.
Okay.
Okay. I think I'm ready. Let's
Big
try
breath
it.
in.
Here we go.
Here we go with part 2 of Santa Claus. Okay, we're actually going to stop that early, Chris, because it looks like our stream on YouTube. Actually, I haven't realized. I don't know about Facebook. I should have checked there. Apparently, 1959 Mexican Santa gave us a copyright issue.
You're kidding me.
Who knew? I figured picking the most obscure film that I could think of.
You're kidding me, right?
I'm not. I got 2 notifications from people, including Alan, and I checked the YouTube feed, and it had stopped. So maybe if we keep going on, it will come back again. Anyways,
that's amazing.
On behalf of Chris May, I'm Jason Reed. I'm really glad you could join us. Thank you for chiming in. We've had some great comments. We had some great conversation. And Chris, I'll let you take us out with a New Year's thought.
Yeah, I'd like to close the year this way. We need to laugh more. Watch happier programming. Cheezy Sales Cinema is the show for you. 2020 was a terrible year. 2021 was another terrible year. But the fact that we could all get together on this digital medium and laugh about some of the craziest things that happened back in the past, and I mean far back in the past, shows that we have the capacity to laugh at ourselves. And I think that that is one of the greatest gifts that we can share. I can't wait to see what we have coming up in 2022. I just hope and I pray that everybody that we're talking to now, you stay safe, you stay smart, and you stay together over this upcoming season. And we promise, Jason and I promise, I'll never get that right, that we will come up with bigger, better, and flashier and funnier pieces over this holiday season, and then we'll spring it on you as fast as we can.
And with that, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year to you all.
And to all a good night.
To all a good night.